What's up, guys? It is Will here, back again for another episode of Lights Camera Collect every Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. There is no Lights Camera Kiko Collect this evening, unfortunately. He's on vacation, somewhere in like the Bahamas, maybe, sipping on drinks on the beach, something like that. It's just what he does. You know, he's handsome butters after all.
You think he's wearing the fur hat as well?
He's got to be. I don't know if the weather would call for it though, Marco, because you know it's probably pretty warm over there, and you know with that handsome butters haircut and that hat, you know,
style over everything though. You know,
sometimes. That's true. Dude, when I was younger, Marco, and I used to be in sort of my emo scene phase. I used to wear like a beanie a lot, and I used to wear skinny jeans. I still wear.
We've seen the videos, Will.
Yeah, well, I used to wear super skinnies, and even in the summer, I'd be like, I look fucking cool, dude. I don't care if it's hot out. And I would wear like I would have like a beanie and stuff. And people probably like, who's this weirdo over here with the straightened hair and, you know, that kind of stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, you know, nowadays it's just kind of like, well, I was pretty warm. Let's just say that. I was pretty warm.
That is comfortable,
Yeah, I was a little uncomfortable. But guys, let's address this Avengers level panel before we get into our topics and address the chat, of course. Mr. Carlos, a place for collecting. I see a floating white head behind you.
Yep. So... so my idea was to get like a really big media stand and start putting my J&Ds back there.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, my media stand won't be here for another 2 months. I just put some random
2 months.
Of course, it's a custom build or some stuff like that.
Yes.
So then I bought a J&D, and well, I've had this one, so just, you know, it's there. No, I bought it from Crate and Barrel, but they take like 2 months right now. They're like,
I've never heard of them. Crate and Barrel? I've never heard of that.
Oh, yeah, it's like high end. That's why you
yeah, that's what I'm used to IKEA.
Crate and Barrel is great though.
It's good. Okay. Yeah. Good. I'm only used to IKEA. That's high end for me.
So there you go.
Yeah, but happy to have you here, Carlos. Mr. 166 Marco and Dog. How you doing?
Pancakes over here as well.
Pancakes here. I was pancakes, bro.
No, that's all right. Everyone wants to call her Cupcake all the time, which is close enough, you know.
What kind of what breed?
She is a complete mutt. She's like a Chihuahua Terrier mix.
Can I see her?
A fluff ball. Yeah, let's put her on camera here. And Gigi's
come on, Cupcake.
So
come here, mutt.
That's Pancake right there.
Oh,
she's like 5 years old now. So. Oh, yeah, she's a cute little thing that we rescued.
Like 5 years left or so. Dang.
No, dude,
we were just talking about that last night.
Oh no, dogs are like 10 years or so.
I know, but it's glass half full, bro, not half empty.
Right. She's gonna live forever though. We're gonna clone her. It's fine.
And it's better to have loved, you know, and lost than never to have loved at all.
Exactly. I'm gonna get a Modja case for when we stuff her. But anyways, we've gone way too far now.
A 1-to-1.
Oh, I'm sure people have that.
Yeah, they probably do. Don't get a Modja case for that though.
Yeah, maybe not. All the white hairs, maybe not.
Yeah, right. But happy to have you here, Marco. It'll be a fun one, man. And guys, let's address the chat before we jump into our first topic of the evening. Mr. Simon, happy Friday, all. Looking forward to the figure chat. Thanks so much for joining, Simon. Appreciate you, bro. Ash Chase, also known sometimes as Ash Cheeks. I guess it just depends on who you ask. Ash, good to have you here, bro. Love having you. Mike Fella with the caps lock and the exclamation point. Hey, everyone. Just wanted to let you know that Will and me in the chat got your back, bro. Stay positive. You're on your thing with your foot, though. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Appreciate the support, man. I do love feet. Benny, greetings to all. What is up? Mike Fayella, Ryan Smith, Alien Queen representing the 4%. So happy to have you here, Alien Queen. Like I said, we got to boost up the female numbers. We're going to try to get this in. We got Marco here. So, you know, don't let Gigi hear that. But, you know, we got Marco here. So the ladies should be showing up anytime now.
I took that the wrong way at first. I was like, hey, what the heck? But yes, there you go.
You're just saying you're drawing the ladies. Because I don't know. Carlos has a J&D floating in the background. I don't know if that's
I do.
Scaring them off for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So good to have you, Alien Queen. Thank you for joining. Doc Smizzle, ladies and gentlemen, collectors from around the world, put your hands together for your host, WillFoxification. I didn't get to read that as well as I would like to, but nonetheless, thank you, Doc, for being an awesome moderator. Hold my balls. Good to see you, bro. Safo, FBJ, Nick's Collectibles. Let's go. Best stream on the tube. That's some high praise, Nick. Or I don't want to pronounce his name incorrectly, but I'm pretty sure it's spelled. I'm pretty sure the username is spelled incorrectly. It's N-I-C-H.
Yeah, his name is Nicholas, N-I-C-H. So
yeah, it should be N-I-C-H-S Collectibles. So yeah, exactly. So Nick, you got to correct that. Safo, Marco, yeah, you're looking out for Marco. Larry Walker, what's up, Larry? 12 minutes move stream. Let us go. Pre-ordered 89 Batmobile today. Nice. I've heard a lot of positive things about that. So excited about that one for you guys. Safo, do we need a 1-to-1 toilet today, Carlos? No, Carlos is fine.
No, I took a shit right before this.
See, that's what you got to do. It's called pregame dump.
Yeah.
Can we?
Joda said, "What's up, people?" Blackbird Tech, what's up? With special guest Marco from 166, and she said no podcast. Carlos, I make money. Yeah, pretty much. Doc is the best hype man, bro. He's the best hype man. Kiko is off, I assume, in the slosh already. It's Friday beaches. Yep, absolutely, bro. Tyria, good to see you, Tyria. Thanks so much for joining. Love that avatar, by the way. AJ Agarusa, the channel member. Thank you so much, AJ, representing the bearded, bald brethren. Thank you so much. Thalia Meyer, my fellow Loki fan. I really appreciate you, Thalia. Brody Leon is here, bro. The Geralt looks pretty good. Yeah, it did look pretty good. I saw that. It did look pretty good.
Which one? Which one
it's
is
the
that?
Henry Cavill Witcher. Is it made by Soso? I guess
it's made by Soso.
Okay.
Are you gonna buy it?
No, I've only watched like a couple episodes of The Witcher. I wasn't really loving it, but I've heard you got to stick with it, so I just did it.
Yeah.
But now he's not even there, so I don't even know.
Sad part. Yeah.
I don't even know if I should continue. But
is it a pointless figure at that point, though?
No, I mean I think the 2 seasons or whatever they got out of him, like people would love that. So
and he's really close to the game too. His portrayal was like spot on. The voice was spot on.
Yeah.
So you could almost have it as that.
But now he's jobless.
Too.
Yeah.
He really is.
He'll be employed soon. Pablo Meza said, "Hi guys, great 1/6K video, very informational."
Thank you.
Great,
Informational.
Great word. Pablo was being very cheeky there.
Yeah.
Superior 6 Scale Studio. Hello, it's an amazing panel and chat on the way to work, so I'll be catching the replay when I get out. Oh, dude, thanks so much for joining, bro, and thanks for watching the replay. Ganesh Paramanathan. What's up, guys? Are we looking at Mark 6 Grail? We are. That's actually going to be our first topic. Yeah. Marco, what kind of lighting do you use in your DTOFs? Marco,
so I went with the Luke lights because I really hate wires, and so I had the translucent lights, translucent wires. So I recommend those. I don't get a kickback either.
Carlos told me about those too. They're pretty good. So
yeah, I recommend.
Do you see like the little dots though when you have the Luke lights? Because you know the LEDs have those little circle lights. Do you see them a lot? Or no?
I don't really, because it comes with a cover and everything. So I'll post my setup later online.
Okay.
No, let me see. Can you grab your camera and go?
Yeah, let me go right now. Actually,
no. Yeah. Calvin, aka Loki Collector, the Drawer Dropper. Thanks so much for joining, Calvin. Right. Good to have you here, bro. Mike Fella talking to Blackbird Tech. Riley Reviews, the man himself. Riley, good to have you, bro. The ladies' man, they call him. Riley is
dude, you have Scorpion.
Yeah, he does.
Looks pretty cool. You should get it.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. I tried to talk Will into it, and he's got his Scorpion representation already.
Chase,
get it. Here. Bring it to the screen so Will knows what he's missing out on. Go ahead.
Nah, bro.
We'll wait.
It's not gonna.
Well, maybe do my whole stream standing up over here.
Yeah, pretty much. Jason is here. Frogman is here. Mark said, "Carlos, are you hiding your small shoulders?" Yes, he is, bro. That's why
I don't have small shoulders.
Thank you so much, Mark, for being a channel member, bro. It means a lot. Blur Dad Life, Jonathan. Thanks so much, channel member. What's good, collecting family? What is good? A kinky sphincter from patas to tatas and breadsticks. I always love that intro, bro. Good for health. Ayo, Steve Showcase. Let's see. Who else? Primetime Reviews is here. Sean Breeze, Collectibles. What is up, Sean? Good to have you, bro. Figure Shop, Joe Geista. Gina B is here. 4%. There we go, Gina. I got to get you back on the show, Gina. So we gotta chat if you're willing to. That is, I'd love to have you back on. Collector Joey on his ride home. I'm sure because I know Joey is riding right now, riding dirty on the way back home. Earthling says Will is one of the best. That is a female avatar, but I don't know if it is a female person. But thank you so much nonetheless. I appreciate it. Hey, all and Will. That is high praise. So I'm not sure I'm the best, but I appreciate it. Iron King, WillFoxification. I should probably change my username at this point, but that's for the OnlyFans. Brandon Salad, Thought Toys. Might as well. That's for the OnlyFans, yes. Brandon. But thank you so much for the witty comment and being a channel member, dude. Will for president, Fad Gadget. Dude, I'm not sure I could run for president. I'm not sure that I have the, I don't know if I can handle that much stress. Late Bloomer said, yo, this was a long week. Let's see. Ro Moreno, Chase Strickland, Fig Fate. What is up, Fig Fate? 1-6 Shooter. Uncommon Flex channel member. Good to see you, Ty. I wanted to say what's up, guys. Well, thanks for joining, bro. Also, anyone going to PO In Art Potter once he's shown off? I think Carlos will. And I know Lael will. He's a big Harry Potter fan. So
Carlos told me that Harry Potter was for virgins, and he's over here.
He did say that,
it.
but
I'm married.
Well, there you go.
That's why.
I do want it as well. I'm excited.
Thanks for that video. Some good info. Yeah, Carlos had a little toolkit there, so he wanted to share. So, Majid Faraj, good to see you. First time here, bro. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but if I'm not, I apologize. Toys News Quarterly. Just placed my pre-order for Jazzing 89 Batmobile. Seems like that's the trend today. So glad to hear it. Joey said I'm riding home as always. Alien Queen said me for Harry Potter. Exactly. I saw your comment, Alien Queen, about getting the Harry Potter figure. So happy for you on that. They would never elect a bald president. I said as a bald American myself. Yeah, actually, yeah, there's never been one, right? Not that I know of.
Well, technically Trump had fake hair, so.
Yeah, he counts. We're going to count him. Yeah. I would consider In Art Harry Potter depending on how good it is. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty good, but I guess we're going to see. But before...
I'm going to save that one.
Before we talk about all that, we got to talk about a die-cast Mark 6 Iron Man with gantry. Because, guys, this just popped up out of nowhere. This is not
out of nowhere.
Dude, this is not something that I expected to see anytime soon, Carlos. I did have one person message me on Instagram and say that they just bought the previous version like a couple weeks ago. And I was like, at this point, after seeing this, I would expect, honestly, that you should not do that because they're going to remake every popular Iron Man suit and 2.0 it or 3.0 it or whatever it takes to make it new.
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I was going to say overall, what do you guys think about this? Because I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. You can see with the gantry, it has a USB-C light up feature from what I read. It's from Avengers. It's the Mark 6 version from Avengers. It's got a lot of battle damage parts. It's die cast. It has some plastic parts, of course, like every Iron Man does. But this base is really cool. And for $655, that ain't bad. Carlos, I want to start with you here on this one. And before I get to you, actually, I wanted to address the collector's edition is $365. So no base, $365. Also a pretty good deal. Love that they're giving you options. But Carlos, what's the dealio with this Mark 6 reissue here?
So let's first go on ahead and say the obvious. The head sculpt is ass. Okay, it is a pretty horrible head sculpt.
It's not.
It's a 6.
Horrible. Depends like what angle you look from, because some pictures look really great. Some look
great.
That one's honestly, not as bad. I think it's the expression.
It doesn't look good. I don't like it. It's like 7 at best. I love Iron Man. Yeah, I've spent $1,000 on a stupid Iron Man figure. Like I will do whatever stuff. So like it's a 6 to 7. It's not that good. But okay, let's pretend you can swap a different head sculpt on there, maybe from one of your other Iron Man figures. Whatever. It is what it is. This figure is a fucking work of art. This is exactly why Hot Toys is just like, they're like, oh, NR can make Harry Potter. Suck a dick. We can make a Mark 6. Look at this. Like, you know what I mean?
And it's die cast.
And it's die cast. And here's the thing. Okay. Back in the day when I had the Mark 6, the original one, I went and I bought a third party, the base basically by itself. It was a really, really long one. I forget who makes it. I want to say the base by itself was like $300. It was third party. Some random company made it. The fact that now you can get a base licensed and you can buy it by itself, you don't even need to buy the figure. That's great. So if you already have the Mark 6, you don't need to upgrade. You can get the base. If you're that guy who overspent on the Mark 6, yes, it sucks. But you're probably not missing out on a lot. I mean, if you get the new one, what are you going to get? This ass of a head sculpt? It's okay. Just skip on it. Just stick with your figure. Go get the base. You're going to be more than fine. I pre-ordered this already. I can't wait for this.
Did you?
Dude, I love Iron Man. And the fact that it came with this base, dude, it's great. This tells me one thing. The Mark IV with the gantry, it's getting reissued. Okay. And we're getting a Mark II.
Yep.
For obvious reasons. And I think they're going to go back, and I'll say this, they're going to make Winter Soldier, bro. They're seeing
I think so too.
Seeing all the grails, and they're like, we need to make these better. And they're going to make it, whatever it is. I pre-ordered this, bro. I love the Mark 6. It's not like my number one or any suit, but I love the Mark 6. I think it looks great. I think the value is there because back when the Mark IV gantry came out, if I'm not mistaken, it was $600. This is how much? $655?
$655. That's a really good price.
A 2.0. You're getting all these swappable pieces, a licensed gantry. Dude, this will be a grail for those people who love Iron Man.
Nice little disclaimer.
Disclaimer, because I love this piece, man. And like I said, I'm excited. I pre-ordered it today. So yeah, man, I love it, and everyone, please pre-order it.
So, well, dude, this is very exciting, Carlos. But it's tough for an Iron Man collector like myself who really likes Iron Man, but I only want to keep like maybe 3 to 4 Iron Man, right?
Yeah, this
is really tough.
See, here's the thing, though. A lot of people really like this one because it has that new element, the triangle of an arc reactor.
Yeah,
so a lot of people like it for that. But Mark III, Mark 85, super iconic. Mark 7 for obvious reasons. The Mark 6 is cool and all. Don't get me wrong, especially in that War Machine, scene in Iron Man 2. But do you need this? No. If you love Iron Man though, or if you really want a really badass display with that gantry, I think the gantry's honestly selling me more than anything because it just looks.
It's
so
the base,
badass.
bro.
It's
Yeah.
the base. That's
It's
what
the
it is.
base.
Yeah, like look at that.
That's beautiful.
Imagine having this with museum gel so it doesn't tip over, and then you just have this, bro. This is exactly what It's funny because I know we're gonna talk about Jassing today, but he mentioned a lot of things, and seeing this kind of stuff, it's like, damn, this is why I love collecting because I get to see beautiful work like this when Hot Toys is at their best. I get to see Yoast, provide some really good products and announce other things, and then it's like, I love Iron Man though, so I'm gonna be super biased. So anyway, I'll let Marco go.
It is pretty dope though. But Marco, I want to let you hop in on this one. What do you think about this Mark 6 with gantry? Is this going to be something that you pick up? Because it's pretty damn good, honestly.
It is. I'm with Carlos. This is a work of art 100%. Like this is Hot Toys flexing. It looks beautiful. I'm not with him that the head sculpt is ass. I think that's pretty harsh. If you wouldn't mind going back to that picture,
I agree, Marco. I agree.
Some angles,
really?
right? Like I'm seeing, and I appreciate that they gave us kind of that cheeky smile. Like it's a different Iron Man instead of him being all serious, which doesn't reflect the character always. So it's at least their attempt at doing something different.
What do you give the head sculpt?
Hard to say. I need to see more, but I would probably give it like an 8. Like I see Robert
An
Downey
8?
Jr. there. Yeah, honestly.
I'd say a 7.
Look right there. Like that looks like a person right there. That looks like Robert.
It looks
Downey
like a
Jr.
person, not Robert Downey Jr.
It's not Tony Stank for sure. So
No, it's not.
I get it's divisive, but yeah, it needs some work. But I see the likeness there in a lot of the angles. In terms of the gantry, like absolutely beautiful. I'm glad that they gave us a full size one. Obviously, the sticker price for the gantry itself is pretty pricey, but when you bundle both together, it's actually pretty reasonable. And Gigi's gonna laugh at me for saying that.
I know, right?
Comparative to the price of where Iron Men are at right now, and then getting him by himself is in the mid 3s. So it's kind of like, okay, they've it's seeming like the price is trending down a little bit for the Iron Men overall, which I appreciate.
Which is good.
Which is great. The negative I have to say here is after seeing the Mark V suit up with all the little tiny plastic clips, for them not to come out and say like, okay, we've like really invested in magnet technology and we're going to, make sure that this is like idiot proof. For an idiot like myself, like it's kind of scary. Like if it's really intricate as I'm seeing here, and I spend almost $700 to get it and I break one of those clips, you saw how I acted over a dented box. I will cry if I break this figure here. So it's just, that's the thing that concerns me. I think it would have been a good opportunity for them to really kind of advance their use of magnets like InArt is doing. But that's really my only complaint because I think overall it's beautiful and something that I want to add, but still kind of on the fence because of that, the possibility of damaging this figure if I want to, use all the different display options. So that's where I'm at currently.
I mean,
now,
yeah, go ahead.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
okay. So one, if this is anything like the third party, these forget the names, but those half circle things on the sides. So it doesn't even clip in. It's like a hook and then it leans back the way it works. And then the little ones that go on the side, they had those as well. And those are literally just like a peg. So this should be super easy, honestly. The one thing that I've noticed this doesn't have, and I know the other one didn't have as well, there's no crotch grabber here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you need museum gel, and then you'll be all right. But I see your point. But
I was going to ask how Hot Toys plan to approach that because I was like, I'm going through every photo. I don't see a crotch grabber. I didn't see one mentioned earlier. And I was like, so they're trusting that this figure is going to be okay on its own to stand without a crotch grabber. And that's a little bit, like you said, Carlos, I think, you're definitely going to need museum gel or your own magnets of some kind.
Right. Because that's how the third party was. There was no crotch grabber.
Yeah. See, and I don't know how that's going to work, but I mean, the base looks amazing when it's lit up. I'm wondering what it looks like not lit up, but it's USB-C, so it's not too bad. But it's one of those where if you have it in a module case or something, I think you can still run power to it. You just have to run it out the back or whatever and then plug it in. But I love that it's powered. I hope that Hot Toys eventually gets to the point where they're comfortable not doing batteries for the figure itself. Because we've seen so many customizations, Marco, where like you press a little button on there and it lights up the whole thing, right? Or like you put it on the base, like maybe the Mark 1, it'll light up that way. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that eventually we'll see that with the rest of the Iron Man figures where Hot Toys feels comfortable enough that they're willing to do that because they look so much better lit up. But the problem is it's just not worth it because the batteries don't last very long and they're a pain in the ass to access.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not removing a bunch of panels just to put in the
Nope.
batteries for them to last a few seconds. Like I
Right.
cannot be bothered to do that. I think, like you said in one of your the Joker review, it's like you're in the hobby for a stress reliever, and you don't want to be stressed out about peeling all these little panels.
Yep.
Which is kind of my overall complaint with this guy, in that I love the intricacy of all the different swap out options. But again, if I'm having to peel back things that are plastic clips, it just scares the heck out of me.
Me too. I
Yeah.
like simplicity. I know Carlos is a little bit different though. He likes to customize and play with his figures a bit, and I
I like a challenge. I'm not a bitch.
yeah, that's
Holy
what they
cow,
all say.
called out.
Anyway, guys, so let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll post a poll. I should have posted one a second ago. And let us know whether you're planning on picking up the Mark 6 Iron Man 2.0 with gantry or without gantry, because it is pretty damn dope. That said, I do want to ask another question. This is related to the Iron Man. I might as well even bring it back up. Are we happy with remakes as long as they're figures we want? Because with me, the way I approach it is that I'm happy with a remake pretty much either way. Because yeah, it's nice if your figure holds some value. At least it's retail value. That's pretty nice. Everyone likes that. Or maybe it goes up in value. That's nice too. Everyone likes that also. But with remakes, it can be a little bit of a dangerous game, especially if you bought the previous one or straight up reissues. That can be even further of a dangerous game, because then you got the same exact figure possibly, and it's just everyone already paid for the other one, right? So it's kind of a little bit different. I'm actually fine with remakes, but I want to get your guys' thoughts. Carlos, are you happy with remakes overall? Like, if there's improvements to be made, is there a certain time period that you think they should give you a grace period, or do you not care at all?
I think, and I've said this before, after a figure has been released, 5 years.
Okay.
If it's been 5 years from that time and they do a 2.0 that is worthy of a 2.0, I think that's fair. A Mark 6 with the gantry. The Mark 5 was kind of weird because they should have just done the reissue with the base, that diorama race car base. What I didn't like, for example, was is it the BVS Batman, where all they did was just give it like a base, right? I think that's all they did. They got the deluxe and the standard and they put it together as a 2.0.
Right.
So something like that, then I wouldn't be okay with that. If they're improving it in some way, adding some great features, a new base, is something overall, I'm totally cool with it. And it's been some time. Again, the Hulk, that definitely needs, a 2.0. That would be awesome. Winter Soldier, that would be an awesome 2.0. Those are the only two that come to mind. But I'm perfectly fine as long as it's been like 5 years or so. You give people a chance to like buy these. It sells out. They can do whatever they want, enjoy it. Not necessarily where like, they're doing a 2.0 right away, like the Mark 5 and then the Mark 5 with the they released it and then there's like the one with the base or the race car base, whatever. So
Right.
that's what I would say.
Well, I would actually be happy, with a remake as long as it improves upon the quality of the original and reissues even. I mean, it's fine to me at the end of the day, but I never would have got that Loki from Endgame, essentially. That's basically a remake. I mean, they labeled it Endgame, and the Dark Side Anakin that I still believe is going to be coming eventually. Like that's going to be a remake too, basically. So I think it's great to give collectors an opportunity, and I think it's, as long as we're inclusive, I think it's pretty nice. So, Marco, what do you think here about these remakes? Is this something that you like seeing? Are you indifferent? Where are you at with it?
I'm glad we're distinguishing between remakes and reissues, because I'm less of a fan of reissues.
Right.
Obviously, sometimes it needs to be done, and when it's a figure that you want, I haven't been in the game for super long, so I could get excited by, if they reissued all the Terminator figures tomorrow, the T2 figures, I would lose my mind and want all of them. That being said, I'm more of a fan of the remake because, give them a reason to go back, update. So again, if we're on Terminator, give us a full leather, outfit. And then that gives you a reason to touch the figure again. It's an improvement. We're seeing that the hobby is kind of evolving. So it kind of makes you excited on all fronts. Yes, it is kind of a bummer if you own the original and all of a sudden it's outdated. But I think Carlos is right. If there's enough of a time period, you've kind of invested that money, you've been able to enjoy it in your collection. And then when it, finally comes out with a new and improved version, I think you have an opportunity to either add that or be satisfied with what you already have. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the remakes because I think technology is advancing so quickly that, figures that came out 5-6 years ago, they can kind of touch those, innovate, and give us a new like we were saying, Iron Man with hopefully batteries built in that you can just touch and everything lights up, full leather, seamless arms. There's so many different directions they can go with updating the figures that I'm always a big fan, especially when it's a character that I want. So
well, I think it's also too like, what if they go back, like Carlos was mentioning, and do grails? Like for example, as great as that Hela is, what if they go back and fix the shoulders? What if they go back and say, okay, now we're going to have like a seamless upper body with Hela. Everything else pretty much mostly the same, maybe some small tweaks here and there. Like kind of like they tweaked Black Panther T'Challa. Like they updated it just a little bit to make it a lot better. I actually really love 2.0s because I'm sitting here thinking about the T'Challa Black Panther they improved, the Loki they improved, every Iron Man 2.0 that they've done they've improved. Everything's better. Like Carlos was mentioning, imagine a Hulk from Avengers 1 or Age of Ultron that's a 2.0 and new and improved, right? I think there's a lot of Bane. Like we're forgetting about Bane that just made. That's a huge
DX19.
Yeah, DX19, big improvement. So I think if there are improvements to be made, I think the community is pretty much all on board with that. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, completely. Because again, like the Bane, we were seeing third parties or like customs that do it better. And so it's cool when they take inspiration and they're like, okay, we can give a new and updated version of this and it can get everyone excited about that property again. So I think the community is mostly on board.
Yeah, same here. As long as there's, there's enough time and an improvement. Yeah, like Hela, it's a good example, Will, because then, they can even come back with an actual head sculpt at one point. As opposed
they
to
could.
You know what I mean? That will look really good. So, hey, 2.0s on Grails, nothing wrong with that. I think someone mentioned they're thinking of selling their Back to the Future too. Hey,
I saw that.
They came out with the cars. It wouldn't surprise me if they come out with the figures. And Doc Brown, I mean, they didn't even update the head sculpt for part 1. Maybe because they're like, hey, just use the same one for part 2.
There we go. He's good to go.
Right. Yeah, he's already done. So
right, makes sense. Well, let us know in the chat, guys, what you think about remakes and reissues. That said, we do have a super chat I want to address before we move on to our next topic. And we got one from Mr. Josh McCoy. McCoy Culture. Thanks so much, Josh. Appreciate you, bro. He's a huge Lasers fan. So love Josh. He said, just PO'd this Mark 6 with gantry. I know Josh has been mostly a statue collector historically, and now he's kind of dipping his feet into, for lack of a better term, his feet into the pool of Hot Toys and other 1/6. So
you had to bring up feet, didn't you?
I mean, it's every opportunity that I have. They're gonna come out. So yeah, but thanks so much, Josh. Appreciate you, bro. Happy you got this on PO. And he's, by the way, Carlos, you and him would hit it off because he's a huge Iron Man fan. He loves Iron Man. That's his favorite. Yep. So yeah, you guys will be BFFs. So thanks so much, Josh. Appreciate you, bro. That said, let's continue the trend. Hot Toys Iron Man Mark 1 because it has been officially released. And guys, we got to talk about this. I think it looks, pretty close to the prototype. I don't know if anyone has any complaints here. I want to start with you, Carlos, as the huge Iron Man fan here. Yep. With the Iron Man Mark 1, it's been released. What are your general thoughts about this? This is not one that I'm interested in, but I know there's a lot of anticipation and demand for this figure. What do you think, Carlos?
If you don't say this head sculpt looks like ass, I'm going to have to question your opinion.
Well, I was getting there. This head sculpt is ass.
Don't bury the lead, Marcos.
Okay.
Spoilers.
So, first of all, let's start with the bad. The head sculpt is ass. Okay, the other one
there we go.
It wasn't as okay. Like the other one wasn't ass. Like it was like somewhat. This one is ass. This one doesn't look good. The head sculpt it looks super tiny on the body. It's like half a head sculpt, so it's like not really one. I don't know. I didn't like this at all. If I'm not mistaken, all they did was take the exact same body and everything, height, base from the Mark 2.0. And they just put some, die-cast pieces and updated paint apps, and they put the base on top of another base, and hey, there you go. We have a 3.0 Mark 1. And you know what? I'm okay with that because I like, Iron Man, and this is a die-cast. I've seen the comparison on Sideshow. If you want to pull that up, they compare the Mark 1 2.0 with the die-cast. It's the same height. People are like, oh, well, it's a little bit shorter. It was always fucking short from day one. If you went and saw on Sideshow's height, it was always supposed to be the smaller one. It was never supposed to be a par. That's why they did the Mark III 2.0. If you go towards the end, they compare it.
There we go.
There you go. So again, it's pretty much the same height, right? They just put die-cast pieces, updated things, updated paint apps, and I'm okay with that because it was always meant to be smaller. Again, that's why the Mark III got the new one was released, which is taller. They're gonna release the Mark II, which is taller. All the ones are gonna be nice and tall, except the first one. So if you have the Hall of Armor, it's gonna look really, really good. I already bought mine today from Hong Kong, and I'm gonna enjoy it because I love Iron Man, and the sculpt is ass. That's all I have to say. So,
But to be fair, Carlos, for sure, even if the sculpt is ass in your opinion, like you look at the rest of this figure and it's pretty damn good. And how many people are really going to use that sculpt?
Yeah, that's my point. On the Mark VI, you're not going to put the head sculpt on. You're going to use it in the gantry. And in the Mark I, you're never going to have a lift, you know what I mean, lift it up or lift up with the stupid helmet. Like, this looks good.
Right.
And throughout the video, it like reminds me, it's because it's diecast, obviously. It's going to shine. It's going to have that chrome Mando appeal and look to it. So, man. And back piece, it just, I think it has a USB and it has a button so you can like spin whatever the thing is in the back. So,
see, look at that. Look pretty much the same. It's different paint apps.
It's the same thing. It's just the paint apps. That's my point. And it looks so tiny. It didn't look good back then. It doesn't look good now. But
right. And that's why it's such a tricky line, Marco, about this, because it's like, you know what? Most people probably are not going to use the head sculpt, but at the end of the day, you don't always want to give the company a pass because you are technically paying for it. So you want it to be up to quality, up to par, up to standard. But it's like when you look back at it, you're like, how am I really going to use? It's kind of like the Loki head sculpt, right? So some people really doesn't look great, but put the helmet on him, I think it's pretty good. It's not as great maybe as it should have been, but it's kind of like, well, at the end of the day, how practical is the complaint? You know what I mean,
you still
Marco?
want the option,
so what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think?
No doubt about it. And I think we can be constructive when we're, criticizing if a figure didn't live up to the fullest standards. And back to our most recent topic, where we're talking about remake versus reissue. This kind of falls somewhere in between, right? Like it is a remake because they've given us, a new material, which I think it came out looking beautifully. I have no complaints about, how it looks overall, but it's always given me pause that he's kind of a short king. And I get that that's accurate to the film. And I get that that's the same size as the previous one. Like, that's totally fine. But in the movie, I feel like they shot it to be kind of a hulking big suit. And for whatever reason, I need to see kind of more side-by-side comparisons, but for whatever reason, this scale just doesn't feel correct to me. Now, again, it may be correct, but it just doesn't feel correct based on the film that I saw. So, that's the only criticism that I really have, minus the head sculpt not being new and improved. So would have loved for them to rescale it like they've done with everything else, because, kind of the double base that they're giving us, it's just an odd choice. So how is this going to look kind of lined up with all your Iron Men? Maybe it'll look great. Just the jury is still out for me. One that I do want to add, though, eventually, I would say, I think I would wait for it to go on discount because, this is kind of still falling in that territory with figures that will likely sit, I would assume. We'll just see if this goes on a deep enough discount to tempt me. But the height is just throwing me off so much. Yeah, absolutely. I get what you mean though, but it's one of those where I do think it's a pretty nice figure. Aside from that, I will say though, this has been my controversial take for a while. To me, really, the first Iron Man suit is Mark III. That's really to me like where Iron Man starts. So yes, this is part of Iron Man's journey and a very integral part of the journey, clearly, but it's just not one that I feel like personally that I need. But a lot of people love this and they really like this moment because this is the start of the MCU, and this is really. I mean, this is kind of when he starts to become Iron Man. So I do get that. And it's a beautiful looking figure besides the head sculpt. I think the die-cast parts, the suit, everything's pretty cool. The base is pretty cool too. Yeah.
I mean, what's funny is that as good as it looks, it's just going to go in that Hall of Armor and you're never really going to, you know what I mean?
Like, for example, if you could only have one Iron Man, for most people, this probably wouldn't be it. But anyone who buys this is going to have more than one Iron Man. So it's not really a practical...
it's not for your average collector. It's going to be for someone who really loves Iron Man, the whole thing. Because you're right. If you're only going to have one or two, you're going to get the Mark III and the 85 or the 7. You're not going to get the Mark I typically.
Right. And considering that Mark III is kind of completely retooled and we know it's going to be correctly sized and everything, seems a bit more appealing.
That one is tempting, Marco, for sure, bro.
It is.
That one's super tempting because I might end up picking that up. I probably will, to be honest, because I have, I think, 3 Iron Man right now. I have the 7, the 85 battle damage, and I have the 5. So those are the 3 that I have. So I'm thinking I want to add a 4th and just call it at that point. So I'm thinking it'll probably
what you should do is sell me the 7. And you
Hell no, the 7 is my favorite, dude. That's my favorite Iron Man. So, besides the 85, that's my favorite Iron Man suit. But
He'll
the
send me
85
7.
the 85 is a better figure overall, I think. The battle damage one, because the head sculpt is great and the battle damage. And it's more iconic, but the 7's my favorite suit overall. So that said, guys, hopefully you get to pick up the Mark 1. I'll have to put a poll. I keep forgetting to do the polls. It's hard to like manage the show and run a poll at the same time, but we're going to make it happen. That said, guys, we got to address another topic. This is a company, Iconiq Studios, and I think it's actually originated from the YouTube channel Keyboard Warriors. I think his name's Andrew. I forget his last name, though. But he helped create Iconiq Studios, or at least founded Iconiq Studios. And I think it's one of those that maybe we should bring a little bit more attention to, because this came to be actually because Carlos actually got that Ryu, however you pronounce it. And the Iconiq Studios is actually making some pretty quality stuff, it appears. They haven't done as many releases yet, so we don't really have too much of a sample size. However, those who did get the Street Fighter Ryu have been very impressed with what I've heard. And the body is very substantial, TB League type of body, and it's very quality. That said, are we paying enough attention to them? I'm willing to theorize, and Marco, I actually want to start with you on this one before I get to Carlos. I'm willing to theorize that I think it's probably because maybe they just don't have the licenses yet that everyone really loves. And I think that's why. But when they do get something a little more substantial, then I think that this could become a very popular company if they're making this type of quality. I know I'm very excited for this Ali, and this is going to be a figure that I'm very likely going to get. But Marco, have you looked into Iconiq Studios at all? Do you think we're kind of sleeping on them a little bit?
Yeah, no, this is a 100% a slept-on company. I do have the Ryu as well, and Iconiq kind of came onto my radar when I saw an interview with Andrew. I think it was on either Collecting Weekly or on OFAC, and he was kind of like the John from Queen Studios before John was around, right?
Gotcha.
Because he was there answering questions, kind of talking about like, I'm a collector myself, so here are all the things that we thought about for the Ryu. And that went from like a figure that I was interested in to like, I got to go pre-order this directly from the company because I want to support them because, they seem to be doing things the right way. After getting that Ryu in hand, like it's beautiful. That's my first Bison body.
It?
Yeah, I have it as well.
Like
let me see it.
It's right over here.
Carlos, you can't go run and get everything, bro. He's got the camera.
There he is, Carlos.
Oh,
just because Carlos likes to call me out.
Carlos
and say I'm not a real
nicely.
collector.
Yeah, he likes to make sure that you actually have it.
That's right. But yeah, so honestly, incredible figure. And I normally wouldn't go for the non-realistic looking figures, but we all grew up playing Street Fighter, so they have a customer in me. I've already pre-ordered the Muhammad Ali because I've been saying we need more sports figures as well. And Andrew's kind of been on, various streams talking about, well, we've taken meetings with the NFL, and I'm like, I want them to do. I don't like Tom Brady. He might be a Raider soon, but they got to start with the Tom Brady. That'd be kind of like a crossover figure where people that don't collect 1/6, right?
Bro, so, that would actually be dope, Marco. So you think they could do that?
With the running back?
It sounds like they've taken the meetings. So, oh gosh, come on, Carlos, you casual. Tom Brady, the quarterback.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, maybe a Barry Sanders.
I know. He's a Rams fan, so it's fine.
Oh, there you go. Well, it says a lot. But, so anyways, yeah.
They have Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. And then you can add Tom Brady? That's what I meant.
Well, that's
you mean the Raiders. Yeah,
he's going to be 50 years old soon, though. So who knows how long he'll be able to
Well, the Jets are going to have Aaron Rodgers, so it's fine.
There you go. But 100% slept on. Highly recommend them. And I've got some skin in the game when it comes to this company because, I'm trying to order directly from them. So, nice. Excited to see what they come out with and hopefully get more licenses.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Those licenses, I mean, they're showing definitely some serious potential here. So I really got to think we could, especially this Ali, Marco, I'm really excited for this. This is the one that they've released so far that I really want to get. Pyramid Head, I kind of want to get too. They call him Pyramid Thing, but he's from Silent Hill. So if you've ever seen the Silent Hill movie, the second one is like atrocious. I think it's like the worst movie I've ever seen legitimately. And I feel bad saying that, but the first one is like pretty solid. And there's a Pyramid Head scene that's just, it's like haunting. It's like I've never seen anything that scary. Have you seen that, Marco?
It's been a while, but
do you remember though what Pyramid Head does to that poor girl?
Like it's been so long, I don't even.
He like
recall,
literally. Actually. So this for people listening, I'm so sorry, but basically, like the girl's trying to escape basically, and he takes her, pulls her skin off, and throws it at the people. Like it's literally that horrific.
Okay, I gotta go back and watch.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. Don't watch that on YouTube. It's pretty horrific. That said, Pyramid Head's a pretty cool character. But Carlos, I know you have the Ryu. You're probably considering getting the Muhammad Ali. Are we paying enough attention to Iconiq? After you got the figure in hand, like Marco, so I know you guys have a little bit of experience here.
Yeah. So for me, man, Iconiq Studios is one of those sleepers, where like they came out and they charged a lot for a Ryu, and I was like, oh, well, $289. That seems expensive for a brand new company, but then it's TB League, it's an awesome piece. You know, like I see no problem with Ryu except the seams on the ankles. Aside from that, everything is perfect. It's like I picked up the figure and I got it, and I'm like, damn, this is probably like one of my better figures because of the custom body, the head sculpt, the wiring everywhere. Just such an awesome piece. If you love Street Fighter, and you have the budget and you're being responsible, get this figure if you can swing it because you will not be let down. It's not like a regular Fison body. It's it's custom made and everything, dude. It's like Iconiq has become for me one of those like they're real contenders. You know what I mean for just top quality figures, and that's exactly what they've delivered. It's hard, right? Because you're like, oh well, Ryu maybe it's not something for me, but if Muhammad Ali, and then the Silent Hill, right?
Silent Hill. Yep.
If there any indication as to their quality, bro, trust me. And Will knows this. I rarely go on ahead and I give high scores on figures except their Iron Man, and the Ryu is fucking great. Just an amazing figure. I gave it I think a 9.2 because the seams on the legs that can be a little unsightly, and it's a little bit difficult to put it on the Hadouken pose. So it's very
tried.
So it can be very difficult. So because of that, I gave it a 9.2. So that's where I'm at with the figure. It's a solid figure.
But look at the stuff that they're doing here with this Fison body on the pyramid head, right? Like the coloration, like Andrew was talking about, like, all the experimentation they've done. That's stuff that I don't think Hot Toys is even brave enough to do yet, right? Like, could almost do a Drax with this type of body here. So they're kind of, doing that innovation, pushing the hobby ahead a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. And the body, from what Carlos told me with Ryu, feels very substantial, and I can only hope that the Ali body feels the same.
This one is not TB league though, right?
I don't know. I got to look at the description.
I think there's just a regular fight.
I think it's a cut. Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't think it's TB league. I think it's just a regular Fison body.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It says TB League.
Oh, created by TB League. Okay.
Yeah, exclusively for Iconiq Studios. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Dude.
So yeah, it could be, and I'm almost certainly going to get this. I just want to see how the final kind of turns out a bit. But I love Muhammad Ali, bro. I have a huge connection to him because of my dad, and we used to watch a lot of clips of him and stuff. Yeah, and I really love Muhammad Ali. I don't even know that much about boxing, but I love Muhammad Ali. So
okay, yeah. Doc and P-Rex at TB League and Fison are the same. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not that experienced with Fisons.
See, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I was disappointed though that this one didn't come with the members. I was kind of expecting Ryu to have, the different options, but what can you do?
Well, I mean, hey, this Muhammad Ali looks great, and it comes with a bust and everything too, so you can get the bust with it
and two head sculpts. As well.
Exactly, and you can display the second head. That's Iconiq's doing some really good shit, so we should pay attention to them. So if they get some, dude, if they get NFL licenses, that would be pretty wild. Could you imagine? Like some football players, like
who would you get?
Oh man, Jamar Chase. I would love to have Jamar Chase. Yeah,
Jamar Chase out of all the football players?
Yeah, he's probably my favorite player right now. Yeah, Jamar Chase. Yeah.
Overall, if you can only have one, what would you get?
If we're counting retired players,
sure.
Because probably I really liked Calvin Johnson and Jimmy Graham. They were my two.
Damn.
Megatron would be incredible on Megatron scale. Come on.
I would just probably get something simple like Peyton Manning or something.
Yeah, that would be cool too. If you got the quarterbacks, that would be pretty dope. Yeah, but say I know Enerbay does NBA. Maybe Iconiq gets NBA. Maybe they do like LeBron and they do Kevin Durant.
Dude, I will get a LeBron, an MJ, and a Kobe. Like I would just have to.
Dude, MJ. I would love John Morant is my favorite because he went to the school my dad went to for college.
Oh, nice.
So John Morant's my guy. So
but that's what I would have to do.
Yeah. So, but anyway, guys, take a look at Iconiq Studios. Let them know what you think, and hopefully they get some other licenses. But that Muhammad Ali should be shipping any day now. It's supposed to come out January to February, I think, which is pretty soon. So /now. So yeah, I guess we're gonna see. That said, guys, I want to ask you. This is kind of be like a little bit of a fun experiment, right? We're gonna look at the bestsellers list on Sideshow. I wanted to pull this up briefly and see if there's sort of any insights that we can gather from this bestsellers list, because to me, when I'm looking at this, I was looking at this earlier today, actually, and I was like, this is something I think that might be kind of interesting. And for the chat, I want to see if you guys kind of notice any trends or anything that will give us sort of any insight into what we're collecting and why we're collecting and what's sort of hot right now. what I notice personally is a lot of diversity. Like I'm seeing a lot of Star Wars, but I'm also seeing like Bane. I'm seeing like Batman. I'm seeing DeLorean. I'm seeing Spider-Man. So I've noticed Wonder Woman's in there, the Avatar figures. I'm noticing like a lot of diversity, and that shows that maybe collectors have like some certain preferences. Like Star Wars and Marvel tend to be pretty hot, and clearly Star Wars is because they're taking up a lot of the top spots. But you're seeing a lot of range here. So Carlos, what do you think? Is there anything that you notice? Like, does this kind of show you that maybe people collect a lot of different things? Because to me, I feel like we always hear the idea of sticking to a line or whatever, but I feel like people are buying a lot of different things right now.
No, bro. Us collectors, we're not even sticking to lines. A lot of us are like hoarders at this point. You know what I mean? We're just buying all this shit. Put it on a payment plan. Worry about it later. You know what I mean?
It's a fine line. It's scary, Carlos.
Yeah,
for sure.
right.
Yeah. 50 pre-orders, 80 pre-orders, smart investments. Let's do it. You know what I mean? It's what you got to do. But yeah, bro, it's crazy because there's just so many things out there that people are doing. But it's funny because even though, and to me, it's funny as well because see, you see Bane, something that it's 10 years ago and already came out, and even though it's not current, it shows you that if done well, even an older figure like Bane, an older character, can be much appreciated because of how well the movie does. So it lets me know 2.0s and everything we've talked about, if done well for a popular character, bro. Yeah, man, I think that's it can be very popular. I'm actually really surprised though that I see the Batman here, because I would think that after comparing to InArt, maybe people would be like, because the prices are pretty close, that it wouldn't be on the bestseller. I'm kind of actually surprised.
And Vader's still a little low. I guess he has been out a while in terms of pre-order.
Yeah, he's been out though. But I'm a little bit shocked. So I guess that's what I would say, is that I'm shocked by the Batman. I'm seeing the 2.0s. There's now at the same time, this shit is a damn lie. There's no way the Cad Bane is lower than Avatar. There's no way that is.
Well, maybe
true.
because Avatar's still new. You know what I mean? Avatar's new. Cad Bane's been on pre-order like a year. Like he's been.
This is such a bad looking figure. That's the problem, dude. I mean, lower than Luke, lower than like.
Yeah, and Neytiri's higher than Jake. Interesting. So, maybe people love Neytiri. I don't know, but I don't know. I am seeing some 2.0s. Mantis is on there. I mean, she's in the top like 30 or something. So. Yeah, Luke Skywalker Deluxe. So one thing you can notice too, that people are anticipating releases. So like you'll start to see as they get closer to the anticipated release, like this Luke should be coming any day now. People will start pre-ordering it. So, and I'm surprised. Did I see Chrome Mando? Yeah, he's up in the top. Yep. Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, he's out and he's shipping soon, so they're going to start buying it. So
I wonder what's going to happen when they release season 3. Diecast.
I know. Diecast Mando with gold armor parts and stuff. And everyone's going to be like, God damn it.
And then they're going to be like, oh, yeah, here's an all black Mando. It's from the comic books that hasn't came out. People have been like, I've been a comic book all my life.
I feel attacked right now, but
yeah, very Marco. So Marco, what do you think, bro? Is there anything you're noticing here that could kind of show like maybe what people are into right now? Any sort of trends?
Yeah, so I'm having a hard time kind of parsing out this data, but I will just say like the amount of DC figures that we see on here and kind of the lack of DC releases is a bit shocking to me. Like I think if this data is to be taken at face value, there's like a big demand for, at least Batman figures, and other DC properties. So it feels like, Hot Toys give us more of that. And in terms of what Carlos is saying about InArt, I think it just shows that InArt is still very niche within this niche, or whichever way you say it. It's still very niche. So, Hot Toys is still king, and all 3 other versions are showing up as top sellers. Even the Tumbler here, my goodness. So, and Will, I will say that Batman film, I know you and I were not as hot on it as most other people. I started rewatching it last night. Pretty damn good film. Like
really? So you're changing a little bit, changing your tune a little bit. Okay.
I will say, like I always said, it's not The Dark Knight. It's still not The Dark Knight because it does a lot of the similar things, but a damn good movie. So, I'm excited for that Batman to come out, and it feels like Hot Toys, give us some more DC figures because the market is definitely at least responding to it, along with all the other properties they have.
Yeah, Makes sense, bro. Because you're really not seeing a ton of DC stuff. I mean, like eventually on the list, you get a couple Batmans, and those are performing pretty well, it looks like. And then, you have another Batman with the bat signal. And then you have
it's mostly
like
Batman, actually.
Yeah. And then there's another Batman and a Bat Pod, and then a Batman with a Superman, and then a Batman again.
And then Robin. So
now I guess it kind of gives me an idea of why, and even as far as statues go, why Prime 1 makes everything Batman, because he's just super hot at any time. It doesn't matter. The Batman film could suck. People are like, I want that Batman. People love their Batman. Same really goes with Spider-Man, but
look at even Peacemaker's on here though, right? So
yeah, Peacemaker. He's waitlisted, but he is on here. I know, poor Peacemaker. He did get updated though.
Here's the question though: if Darkseid Anakin comes out, how long is he going to hold the #1 spot for? That's what I really want to know.
Probably a while. I mean, Mace is up there. Obi-Wan's #1 right now, but he would be dethroned pretty quickly. Yeah,
easily, bro.
A Darkseid Anakin 2.0 would easily take the top spot for a while. Yeah, and Padme's still 100%. Doing pretty well, and same with that Anakin. That new Anakin and Padme are still kicking strong. So, I'm happy to see my boy Bane up that high. That's pretty nice. So
I'm actually surprised by the Super Battle Droid.
Honestly. Me too. It's a little high.
Yeah,
maybe because 238.
Maybe.
I don't know. Because it's 238. It's a pretty reasonable price for a really nice looking figure, but I can't wait to get this Chrome Mando. I'm just waiting for it to hit in stock, and I'm gonna get it. Because I get a discount for being a teacher, so I want to use my discount. So
head sculpt on or head sculpt off, Will?
Head sculpt on. What'd you say, Carlos? Head sculpt on. Head sculpt on for this one. What do you think, Marco? Head sculpt on and off for you?
Yeah, so I kind of want to mod my my previous Mando, the Beskar Mando, to be able to support the head, and then display this one with the head on or the mask on. So yeah,
I've heard you can. You just have to like do a lot of modifications to it, like strip it naked and add a bunch of things to it.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't that intense, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
the sculpt looks great to me. Like
it does look really good. Everyone I've heard that has gotten this figure has been like, it's freaking awesome. Yeah, it's awesome, bro. I don't want it. Get this. I know you're not getting this, Carlos.
Well, I do want it, but I'm patient, so I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah, me too. That's how I feel. This one I've been getting like real like an itch I want to scratch though. I keep getting more antsy for this one. I'm like, I want this Chrome Mando. I want this Chrome Mando. When's it gonna come to stock? And I've been trying to get it. I'm about to just I know some shops that I've been talking to have some that'll be arriving early next week. So worst case, I'll get one then. But I cannot wait to get this. Super, super excited for this. That said, guys, hopefully we shared some insights. Let us know what you think in the chat below about the insights from the bestsellers list. Maybe there's something to see there. That said, I want to ask you guys, do we see collecting habits changing due to increased competition? Because we've mentioned InArt a few times. We've mentioned Hot Toys and the shit that they are doing right now, which is incredible. They were doing the Bane, this Iron Man that they just did is really great. Even if the head sculpt's a little controversial, there's a lot of great things to be found with that. And that Bane is super, super impressive. That's just super well done 2.0. Hot Toys is bringing the heat right now. That Anakin and Padme were both pretty good. And InArt, and from that Joker, I have it in hand. I thought it was great. And, a lot of people are going to be getting it soon. It looks great. Iconiq Studios is making great stuff. Eventually, J&D is going to come into the fold. Maybe some other companies come into 1/6, right? Things are really starting to heat up. We also have, I know there's a comment earlier and I was going to reference this, Lim Toys, who made the Arthur Morgan Unlicensed, great third-party company. They're making Joel and Ellie from the video game with seamless arms, and they're making movable eyes and swappable hair pieces. They're doing magnetic arms too, like InArt's doing with seamless wrists. So again, these companies are evolving and pushing each other. Even So Toys, what they're doing right now. There's a lot of great competition. So I want to ask you guys, do you see collecting habits changing? Because there's so much good shit, and you can't possibly have it all. You got to be a little more selective. So Carlos, what do you think? Do you see anything changing because of how good everything is right now?
100%. So I did a poll in the Facebook group and I asked people if they wanted to share what is their yearly budget for collecting or Hot Toys. 70 to 75% said it was $4,000 or under, right? Some had like $1,000, some said $2,000, but that's what I've seen. $3,000 to $4,000 or so, 75% of the community. And I think we had like almost 170 people respond or so. So I think a decent amount. So let's call it $4,000 or even $3,000, right? Because it's probably lower is probably going to be more accurate. If a hot toy is about $300, that means you're getting about 10 of those, right? The reason why people have been getting more is because they've been on sale, and it's not $300, it's $200 or $180. They can get 12, 13, 15 figures with $3,000. That's not always going to be the case. We're not always going to be in a recession. Things are not always going to be this cheap. So over time, what's going to happen is that budget is only going to allow you to do so much. So you're going to sit back and you're going to say, do I want an Aragorn for $500, or do I want a Mantis for two something, and then I want Super Battle Droid for 260, right? Maybe if you don't like Lord of the Rings, it's an easy answer. But maybe if you're the kind of person who loves multiple IPs and you just want to go on ahead and collect different IPs, then yeah, this is going to be one of those things where I believe you'll be more limited. As figures get more expensive, you can't deny how good they look. Look at the NR Joker. People jumped on that because it looks so great. If NR releases the the Joaquin Joker, that's going to be another one. That's going to be $1,000. Joaquin Joker, it's $1,000. Let's say you bought the Aragorn, that's $1,500. If your budget is $3 to $4K, that's only what, 4 or 5 figures you're going to be able to pick up. So I think we're going to see, the collecting habits change, because it's no longer Hot Toys, and it's no longer going to be, well, everything's going down in price. I mean, sure, right now because we're in a recession, but it won't always be that case. So I think over time we will. And now we're seeing some Hot Toys go on wait lists. Some Hot Toys are considered sold out. Not sure if that's going to end up being true at the end or not. Who knows? But what we do know is as prices go up, your options are going to be, there's going to be so many options that I think people are going to start diversifying away from Hot Toys. Not altogether, because all it takes is for them to Hot Toys to drop a $655 Mark 6, and it's like, whoa, that's amazing, right? Well, hey, Mark 6 is $655. This is $500. Joker's $1,000, dude. You know what I mean? That's $2,000 on 3 figures easily. Bane, another almost $300. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to start spreading out more. And I wonder what J&D's going to do. Hopefully J&D comes in and they're like, dude, I'll be so pissed if they come in and they're like, hey, here is a full leather Bane for $600.
I know, right?
I'll be like, dude, I fucking told
fully leather, rooted hair. It's like, no.
Yeah. So I mean, that could happen, So yeah.
Right, it could, and I do feel like maybe we're starting to see even more of a result of that, of these companies pushing each other. But Marco, what do you think, man? Do you think collecting habits are going to change because there's so much good quality coming out right now?
I've definitely seen the same thing that Carlos was kind of outlining, and I think it's a multitude of factors, right? Like, obviously, again, all the prices are increasing, so folks kind of have to be a bit more selective. The economy is a bit uncertain. There's other things going on. But, when I got into the game kind of at the start of the pandemic, it felt like you could be a Hot Toys collector, and then there were some other options, but like those options were, significantly worse than Hot Toys. Now, just a few short years later, it feels like even third-party companies, So Toys, like you said, Lim Toys, pushing Hot Toys. We know like Carlos was saying, J&D entering the fray here soon. We just talked about Iconiq. So it feels like there are offerings that are, starting to creep up to Hot Toys quality, if not some potentially exceeding that. So I've seen a lot more folks being like, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to sit back, kind of be a bit more selective because there's too much coming out. It's kind of paralysis by analysis where I can't really determine what I want. So because there's such an influx of options, I'm just going to be really, really selective. So obviously you talk about the tier-based collecting. I think a lot of folks are kind of implementing that, maybe it's a little more binary. It's like, okay, I'm only going to collect the figures that I absolutely love because there's just way too much stuff. If I'm trying to get everything, I'm just going to end up, being out of this game eventually. So absolutely seeing those habits change, and in myself as well, right? Like I maybe at one point in time was getting a little bit too overzealous, having too many pre-orders, getting too many things in. I'm not saying that that's completely changed, but I'm realizing like there's a different feeling you get when it's a figure that you absolutely love or a character that you love and you unbox it and you're like, dang, it hits you right in the feels, versus like a Moff Gideon where I'm like, oh, this is cool. I like Gustavo Fring, but it's just kind of like a throwaway.
Right.
And so, yeah, but like this Geralt, my goodness, like this is pretty dang beautiful right here.
Well, I think, Marco, the thing too is the Moff Gideon that you just mentioned. I think people are going to be less and less willing to get a character like that unless you love the character. But like you said, maybe something that they view as a completionist type piece. It's a companion piece, right? You're going to be able to do that a lot less probably because now there's third-party companies making figures and characters that you do care about. And they are quality for a lot of them. Or maybe InArt's doing it, or maybe Iconiq's doing it, or maybe J&D is going to do a character that you like a little bit more. Jazz Inc., right? They're making the Batmobile. Maybe you really want the Batmobile. And it's like,
well, no, I mean, Jazz Inc. is making figures now.
Well, that too, Carlos, but then also like the idea of like, okay, well, maybe again, like you guys are referencing, I'm not going to get Mantis, where I was going to complete the line before, but I'd rather have that Terminator in real leather, right? I'd rather get that or get the Bane that just been updated instead of getting that Nebula that I wanted to complete my Guardians, right? And that makes people sort of reevaluate because there's so many good options and characters that you do care a little bit more about, and your budget can only stretch so far before it breaks. So. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. How dare you, Carlos? And I always say, like, you know, and I'm guilty of this too, but people are like, where's this character? And where's this character? I'm like, man, there's already way more than enough than I can bite off right now, or way more than I can choose. So it's like, I think they're good. I think they've released enough.
People want companion pieces because there were no other options before. People are going to be like, okay, stop giving us companion pieces. We can't keep doing this.
Just top tier now.
Right. Well, that's the thing, and I think that's eventually going to be a reality. So 100%. we're not going to get as many of those maybe C or D characters that we're like, oh, we really want. Like for example, as much it'd be great for some people to have a Wong, but eventually when a Wong gets put up for pre-order, some people are really going to jump at it. But then when you pre-order it, and then InArt comes out with Joaquin, or they come out with Legolas and these other characters, you're like, shit, I got to cancel something now. You're going to cancel Wong probably. Right. And that's kind of what Hot Toys knows. As cool as that character is, and as great as the actor is, it's kind of like, is he so important to your collection that you can't live without him? To some, yes, but to most,
when Hot Toys was getting like 95% of your budget, no problem. But now when there's so many companies, dude, it's getting harder. You know what I mean? And let's be honest. Like when I was collecting, I was like, oh, we could have a Harry Potter, and then I was like, Star Ace made it, and I was like, never mind, I don't want Harry Potter. You know what I mean? So.
Well, now you're going to get one. So, but that said, I mean, for example, there's always going to be something like this Iron Man that's going to grab people's attention no matter what. I mean, it's a great Iron Man. It's an iconic suit from Avengers 1, and it's done beautifully, and the base is great. So with the gantry. So, I mean, I think people got to be more selective. Just reality. Unless you're just a big baller and you can get whatever you want, and you have unlimited space, by all means, do your thing. But that's not most collectors, I would say. So, just based on speculation. That said, we're going to tie another topic in, and we got a couple more topics here before we wrap things up. I want to tie this into kind of what we were just talking about. Is less really more in collecting? Because I've seen this idea debated back and forth for quite a while now about, if you have more figures, that's better for your collection, or if you have less figures, that's better for your collection. So it really just is a matter, I think, of perspective and personal philosophy. Like everyone's going to view this a little bit differently. That said, is less really more? Because that's kind of the mindset that I've been approaching. Not that you want to have so little figures that you barely have a collection anymore, but I will say you have something that represents you, represents something that you really love and that you care about, and then you have a very personal connection to your collection where you feel like you want to walk into your collection room and love every single piece that you look at. That's what I feel like is the goal, right? That said, Marco, I want to start with you first on this one. Is less really more, or is more more? Because maybe you could have more things to bring people in and more things for them to look at, or more things for you to look at. But do you really love all those things? That's the question,
Yeah. So I would say less is really more, honestly. You look at the DTOFs behind me. I just got my Modu cases in, which are on the other wall. I could have, replaced all these DTOFs with Modu cases, which still may be an option down the line. But I really love, the look of when it's like one or two figures displayed together, because they look more valuable, in my opinion, right? Like it just makes it look special. And then it has room to breathe, so you're able to admire just that figure by itself a bit more. But I'm kind of coming to the point where I'm like running out of space. I gotta, display multiple figures together. And then at that point in time, am I diluting my, collection a little bit? Because, I'm going to see here really soon once I display everything in the Modu cases, which look great. But it's like, is that really my preferred way? Or would I just prefer to, shrink down to the collection, only figures that I really love, and display those kind of one-offs? So yeah, I think I'm leaning towards... There you go. Ben Thomas is a perfect
Ben's a good
example.
I was thinking of Marco. He has the shelves, and less is more.
Yeah.
I love this expression he's got on his face.
So good right there. You could just tell he smoked a fat one, but
yeah, he did.
So no, I love Ben's collection. Like this is a perfect example where it's just like, it just gives the figures room to speak by themselves. Now, there's no wrong way to display. Everyone's going to have their preferred options, but for me, I think they just look so much better when it's not all crammed together. So I would go with less is more in this instance.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm with you overall, but I guess it just depends. How much do you love is really the question.
It's true.
Carlos, what do you think? Is
everything.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you do, but is less really more, Carlos? To me, I feel like it's more intimate with your collection that way. You
Well, I
know?
think less is more. It can really apply to a lot of things. But yeah, man, I mean, you can keep buying, one figure after another, and then another, and then another, and then you realize you're sitting in a room, in a dark room by yourselves, holding a Diet Coke in one hand and Cheeto bag in the other, and you have 300-400 figures around you, and you're like, is this what I do? Right? Like,
It actually
and
sounds
that's
kind of great, Carlos.
That sounds like a dream, actually.
you know what I mean?
That's right.
Is this what I do? You know what I mean? So it's like, no, man, like less is more. And here's why. Collecting is not supposed to be, end all be all for any of us. It's supposed to be a small part of our world. It's not supposed to overtake our entire life. And when you go and have 300, 400, 500 figures, that's a lot of cleaning, that's a lot of maintenance, that's a lot of shelves, that's a lot of things you need to do. And some people can handle it. That's great. But I'm speaking from, I think, from my perspective and what I think the average collector will be. And from what I've heard a lot of people tell me after tier-based collecting or TVC. I think you start looking at it and understanding that if you have a smaller collection, 30, 40, 50 figures, or 60, whatever it may be, something small but still substantial, and it gives you the freedom to skip on certain figures. Maybe you go 2-3 months without buying something, but you know what? It's okay. Like, all these figures will always be around. It gives you time to, I don't know, go breathe some air and not necessarily be in front of a computer all day. Go take a vacation with your wife. Go on a date. When's the last time you've taken your wife on a date? I'm not saying anyone here. I'm just saying in particular.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it gives you the flexibility to do that. So less is always more. Not necessarily from a like, yeah, you're going to enjoy your collection, but it gives you more because you have more freedom to do other things in your life, not just like, hey, I need to do all this. Now,
Can I challenge you really quick on a point
Sure.
though, Carlos?
sure.
Oh, let's
You
do
say
it.
always, but I want to say like it's kind of each their own, right? To each their own is the way to say it.
To the
Where
way
it's
they
like-
can manage it. Like, because I know like Kiko, for
Yeah.
example, he has a ton of figures, but he can manage it. You know what I mean? So that's my point. Like, it depends how you can manage. So that's what I'm saying. I'm speaking from I think the average collector, and I would agree that I would say that for the average collector, less is always more. Not for everyone, but for the average. I mean,
For the average collector. Yeah, because I get where Marco is coming from. Like, it's a matter of like everyone's going to view their collection a little bit differently. I guess it matters how much you want to invest into it, how much money and time and energy and stuff you want to invest into it. I can just tell you, I mean, from having moved back and forth between states, like moving even 50, 60 figures is like, damn, it's not fun, right? And I can't imagine moving 500. So it's just, it can be very time consuming, and it kind of can suck the joy out of collecting sometimes when it starts to overtake your life. That's just my take. But again, everyone's going to be different in how much they want to take on and what they want to do. So
Right.
Marco, I mean, you pretty much are kind of a less is more mentality, right? I mean, you probably have, what do you have, like maybe 30 to 50 Hot Toys, something like that?
Yeah, so I would say I'm like pushing like 60 now, if not a
60,
bit more.
right.
I haven't taken, an inventory yet, but
That's like
kind
a
of in that
moderate sized
range.
collection. It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
no.
Yeah.
how many you
For
have?
the fact that, how many do I have?
Yeah, is that what you, is that-
Like, I would say like around the 60 mark. I need
That's
to
pretty
count
good, though.
everything.
Yeah,
up,
that's a
but,
lot. That's a
You know,
lot.
you include
Yeah.
pre-orders, and like I'm going to be close to 100 here soon, and that's scary, honestly. Like,
Yeah, it is.
I'm kind of out of space, and so I really do need to start paring down. Now, if I
TBC.
had a huge house and a bunch of, there you go, right? And so, that's kind of the calculus I run through myself, but I like a lot of things. I like the classic films, like the Terminators. I like Star Wars, Marvel, DC. So it's like you can get into trouble really, really quickly. So
Yeah.
I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but I feel like, it's great that we have these conversations because, in the community, you can kind of encourage each other to, think one way or another, and kind of to each their own. Like
Right,
Useby said here in the chat, he was like, he kind of has displays with a bunch of figures, but that works for him. So
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have the space like he does. So it's never going to be,
Right.
that's not going to be the collecting way for me.
And there are a lot of collectors who have a really, like you mentioned, Carlos, Kiko, and I'll let you go real quick. Like Kiko, and a lot of collectors have a really massive, I like Justin's collection too. I mean, like there's a lot of collectors out there who have a lot of figures who do it well. It's not how I like to necessarily display or how I like to collect, but to each their own. Like if you want to have a lot of figures, there's really nothing wrong with it as long
Right.
as you're doing what you want to do and being responsible.
Right. No, yeah, definitely. Like one 6-shooter says I have about 300, and can manage to keep everything clean and dusted. And that's great. I'm not saying, again, there's something wrong. I'm saying from the average collector, from the more people that have reached out to me, because of TBC, they're saying like, hey, less is more. And I keep hearing that over and over, or they're trying to scale back to make it easier. From an average collector, that's what I'm meaning. The less is definitely more. But look, if like I said, Kiko, he can manage all these. That's great. I know I couldn't manage 300 figures because I had almost 300 figures, and I couldn't do it. I had like 265 or something, and I definitely couldn't manage that many. It was just getting out of hand. So for me, I couldn't do it. Sounds like for Marco and for Will, we're in the same boat. So that's what I'm saying. For the average collector, I think less is more. So you can, go do other stuff.
Right.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm pretty close to you guys. I was thinking I had about 40 Hot Toys, but I was counting them the other day, and I have about 40 figures. I have about like 30 some Hot Toys. So, and I have like maybe like 5 to 8 third-party figures and in art and whatever. I probably have like maybe 40 something figures, but like 30 some are Hot Toys. So yeah, and there will be more, Marco, like you said. There will be plenty more that will be coming. Like Chrome Mando's coming, the Bane, any number of figures, Darth Vader DX. There's a lot of figures on my radar that
it's like Tetris, right? It's like
well, Shang-Chi and Wenwu, bro, those are coming any day now. Those are both coming home. So I mean, like that's why you got we've kind of preached the idea, at least for some, we want to keep their collection manageable. Like keep yourself to a max of whatever your space is. But for me, it's like 60 to 65 based on the Maji cases that I'm going to have. So
and it lets you do other things. I think I want to always make sure that, because when I got into collecting, it was all about collecting, and I forgot to do other things. So I always want to, hey, if you don't want to, that's fine. But man, life is great, and get out there, breathe a little air. Don't be in front of the computer. You'll be all right.
Yeah, so, that balance is really important.
Yeah, go ahead, Will. Yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, that balance is so important, right? And that's kind of like what we try to talk about often. Sorry, Pancake's losing her mind over here. Go ahead, Will, and then I'll jump in.
No, I was going to say that it's one of those, I think, where, at the end of the day, it's good. Collecting is great, and there's a lot of great things I want to do, and for all of us. But, balance, I think, is healthy, I think. Just
100%. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, like, and again, nothing wrong if you have 300 figures. But I know Kiko, for example, and I'll just say this, and hopefully no one takes offense. He has 300 figures. He's out with his wife on like the Bahamas. So it clearly shows you he can do that, and he can vacation. Right. And, that's what I'm saying. Like, enjoy life. This is supposed to be in addition to, not overtake everything. Like, one of the things, man, like I really made and this is going to sound kind of weird, but me and my future wife, or we're going to be married in September, we decided that this year might be our last year in California before we go to Utah. So we're like, you know what we want to do? We want to go and explore Disneyland and explore every little bit. So we went and bought the year pass. And so we're fucking going like no tomorrow. And that's one of those things that I just want to have an experience, and that's pretty pricey, but it's like, well, would I rather have a figure, or that experience is going to be for me forever? Because guess what?
Yeah.
Figures fucking have pleather and they peel. 2.0s come out.
They're not forever.
Not forever, Carlos.
You know what I mean? So
that's right. But you're right. Like some people can have 300 figures and go on vacation to Europe, and I know that fun. I can't do that personally, and you should never be trying to keep up with someone just because you see someone has one thing. Right. You just got to do what works for you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bro. Guys. Utah. Larry asked Utah. Yeah, man. I have family in Utah, and my dad.
Nice areas.
I want to stay very close to family because my dad has medical conditions. So worst case, I'm like 6-7 hour drive. I can be, there the same day. So yeah, that's why Utah.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about your pops, Carlos, but I did not know that there were Latinos over in Utah, but it's good to know.
There are now. Yeah, there are now.
Yeah, bro.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks so much for your thoughts on that one. We got one more topic for the evening. I want to ask you guys, this is, again, we have to discuss some bigger picture topics just because there's really not that much news to talk about, to be honest. Like there's a couple Iron Man things that we've already discussed and here and there, but number one budgeting tip, I want to give people maybe the number one thing that you guys think has been helpful for you that maybe can be helpful for other people as far as like budgeting for Hot Toys. Because like, I know, Carlos, you asked the question, most people, the majority of people voted, they have about $3,000 to $5,000 a year in budgeting for Hot Toys.
3 to 4.
Yeah, $3,000 to $4,000 per year in Hot Toys or for collecting in general. So with the prices of figures generally rising on the rise, and then you got more options than ever, more characters, more great properties than ever, more remakes than ever. At that point, how do we budget for all this and make it all work without overextending? Because I know, Carlos, one of the things that we've talked about with the TBC, the tier-based collecting system, that's helped me tremendously because it's helped me sort of realize what I really love and what sort of is like almost like lust for a figure. It's kind of like, like you have it where you're just kind of like, I want this figure just because it's new and it's exciting, right? But it's not something that I really need. So what do you think, Carlos? What tip would you give?
Number one budgeting tip.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I like a yearly budget. A yearly budget is more important than a monthly budget. That would be my tip.
So I guess that, but I will say the number one budgeting tip is you want to have a yearly budget. And I guess I'll say number two. But what you need to do, or I'm sorry, what I think you should do, because this is probably the easiest way, because you can do whatever you want with your money, is when I pre-order, and I think this is really good for budgeting. Maybe is it? I don't know. Okay. I only put the 10% down or whatever it is. And I do not. So like, let's say this figure is 655. I'll put that pre-order and the remaining amount instantly that same day. I'll put it in a savings account so that I have full control over the money. It's paid off essentially through myself and I control the money. So I don't know if that's a budgeting tip. I guess maybe like
no, I think it definitely is. Yeah.
So
it's
that's
a
what I do.
Budgeting tip. Yeah.
Because in my opinion is if you can't if you can't afford it now, it means you can't buy it, right? If you can't afford the full 65 right now, it means you can't buy it. Payment plans. I've never cared for payment plans, credit cards, and all that. So that's why that's what I'm always going to say. So, because in 5 months from now, this will be available and you can pre-order it then. You'll be okay. So that's why I don't like payment plans and all that. Because you're giving a company your money and they can delay this and now they have your money for a while, as opposed to saying, I'm going to do 10%. And I'm going to move my money slowly to my own savings account because now it's my money. It's making, if you go with someone like Marcus, you're going to be able to go and get like 3%, 3.25% on your money, which is better than 0%. And, you have full control over it. If you decide, hey, I want to cancel this, you're more than likely to get that 10% back than to get the entire 655 back because they'll do 655 and keep the 10%. Because they have to refund such a big amount. So that's what will be the biggest tip is that if you're going to pre-order, put the 10% down, sure. And the remaining, go with your own savings account. I think that's the best way because you have control over the money. You don't give it to another company. You're making interest on it. So
right. Well, I would also agree, Carlos, because you've converted me on that mindset. I used to pay in full, Marco. I used to be one of those where the pay in full option, I would be like, okay, send me an invoice, I'll pay in full, so forth, right? But now I pay the deposit. Carlos is kind of he split some logic at me, and I was like, that's actually a really good point. Then you set aside the money in, like Carlos said, in a separate savings account that's specifically dedicated to collecting. You're gaining interest on that money that whole time, so you have that figure really paid off in full at that point. Even if you don't pay it off in full, you pay the NRD and then you start paying yourself over time, right? But don't pay the company more than you have to, because then if you need to cancel your order, like Carlos mentioned, it's much easier to get that company to give you your NRD back if it's 10% than it is the full money. Because then they have to give you back $600 instead of giving you $60. So they're probably more willing to do that. So Marco, what do you think, bro? Is there any sort of budgeting tip you can share with people?
No, completely agree with what both of you said. And another reason not to pay up front is if the item gets delayed and for whatever reason there's a problem, you may run out of protection time from either PayPal or your company, and then you could be screwed. So I'd say that's a good rule of thumb what you're doing there in terms of socking money away. So I would say that's number one is when you're not purchasing figures, be saving the money towards the figures, just like you mentioned. So save as much as you can. I know it's going to be different for everyone, but really, really make sure you're just socking away funds for a rainy day and for your collection. And then I have to say the spreadsheets. That's not a new concept, but it was new when I first started collecting. I obviously had a smaller collection, and as it started to grow, I was like, okay, I'm keeping track of it. And Will, I saw you and Optical and PJ talking about spreadsheets. I was like, okay, maybe I should try this. Okay, I get it's painful. And I've heard people say like, I don't even want to know how much I spend. Yeah, you don't want to know, but you do. You really do want to know. It's going to be painful at first. You may pass out once you see that sum, at the end of it, but you've really got to realize how much you've spent previously and how much you're planning to spend coming up. So I do like the yearly budget as well, kind of setting a range, Again, everyone's going to have a different range, but like $5,000, $4,000 a year, if you, can do that much, seems like a reasonable amount, right? It's everything's relative, maybe not reasonable, but it seems like a decent amount to be spending on collectibles. And then as you track with the spreadsheet, you can kind of determine whether you're staying in that range. Now, I always like to collect a little bit like Jazz. Like I know kind of generally where I'm going, but certain times I'll take a certain note that wasn't initially planned, and it could end up being beautiful. Like this Golden Armor Wonder Woman, did not initially plan to get her, was able to kind of find some room in the budget, some room in the collection for her. But I think that means ultimately something at the back end is going to have to be cut. Maybe I don't get Gandalf from InArt. Maybe that's the sacrifice, which some people may say I'm crazy for choosing Wonder Woman over Gandalf, but everyone's going to have their own decisions to make there. So yeah, absolutely, the spreadsheet has got to be the most essential part of budgeting, in my opinion, because you can't trust yourself that you're tracking correctly, because you're always not going to be honest with yourself about how much you're really spending until you kind of have those hard numbers in front of you.
Yeah. And I would say, just as a final point here from Wonder Dog, really good comment. And a lot of you guys have really great comments. I'm sorry I can't highlight them all. We should also talk about budgeting for actually setting up your figures, getting the right display cases, cleaning supplies, repair tools, lights, all that adds to your budget 100%. And that all goes in the collecting budget. Yep. It all goes in the spreadsheet, it all goes in the collecting budget. So you got to think, if you want Module spaces, if you want DTOS, if you want whatever else you're going to use to display, that's factored in. So once you have those, they're good, and you can have them for a really long period of time, but it is an upfront cost that you're going to have to shell out at some point. So got to factor that. That said, guys, thank you so much for your thoughts. That is our final topic for the evening. So we're going to wrap it there and let everyone enjoy the rest of their Friday night. That said, thank you guys so much for joining the chat. I'm going to end that final poll. You guys, thank you so much for contributing in the polls. That was really great. And before we wrap things up, like I said, we will have the Mod Space giveaway part 2 this Sunday. So that'll happen this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Everyone who originally entered will be re-entered in the competition. If you want more information, I've made a post about it on my channel. So you can definitely take a look at that. And that's pretty much the gist of it. That said, Carlos, Mr. Place for Collecting, is there anything else coming up on A Place for Collecting that you want to give the people some info about?
Not yet, but we're definitely planning a giveaway. I'm waiting to hear back from a retailer by tomorrow, and I should 100% know what's going on.
Okay.
So A Place for Collecting, for those who don't know, it's a Facebook group only. It's so it's Facebook group, A Place for Collecting. It is toxic and drama free. So one of the things we make sure is that if you're in that group, and you want to have a discussion with anyone, it is done in a civil manner. There's not going to be no, like I said, no drama, no way of, people making fun of you. So again, it's a free group. We do random giveaways, so you don't have to pay anything to enter. As long as you're in the group, we typically do those every 3 months or so. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for having me, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for joining, bro. Always love having you. And guys, Carlos and I did a video, by the way, about all the tools you're going to need for 1/6 maintenance on Hot Toys and other figures like InArt, stuff like that. Carlos had quite the list there. So
ketchup cups.
Yeah, it took about 40 minutes. The Dixie cups were the best part. So you guys got to check that out. Marco, thanks so much for joining, bro. Always love having you, bro. You're such a positive influence on the community and so kind and professional. Appreciate you, bro. What's coming up on 1/6 Fix? I know there's some GG content probably coming.
Yes. First of all, Will, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure. Carlos, but had a really fun time today.
That's true.
So, yeah, on the channel, catch us at 1/6 Fix. We'll be dropping another episode of the She Said No podcast, the podcast I do with my wife, Gigi. We're going to be talking about my new Module cases. I keep asking her, what do you think? Like, do you think it looks good? She keeps saying, save it for the podcast. So I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little bit nervous. Last time she said that was about the DeLorean, and she kind of went off on me. So we shall see what she thinks.
You didn't
about
get a DeLorean?
I am getting the DeLorean, but she just doesn't like it. So yeah, it's my collection. We just have to find a compromise somewhere. So yeah, that bad boy's coming home. Yeah, there you go. Either do I want a wife or a DeLorean?
Yeah, exactly. That's the decision you got to make.
Exactly. But yeah, so also Bargain Bin Bros, check that out. Hopefully next week we'll be coming back off a little hiatus for the Lunar New Year. And then also I should be doing a collection tour here very soon, kind of putting the finishing touches. Oh my gosh, I cannot speak. It's been a long day, but finishing touches on the collection, have the Module cases up, and we'll finally do a collection tour as everyone has asked, whether I just have these figures behind me or more. I've got a few more to show off. So look for all that coming. And again, thank you for having me.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much, bro. I love all that content that's coming up. Like I said, guys, we got the giveaway. Like I said, everyone who was originally entered will be re-entered into the giveaway. This time, there are no new entries. In pursuit of fairness, we're keeping it exactly how it was before. We will spin the wheel. Recall that you do have to be there in order to be eligible to win. So that's going to be really important. And there's some video that Carlos put out and I, about going over all the items you're going to need to care for your 1/6 figures, Hot Toys, everything else under the sun. So that was really great. I did a collection tour reaction of Mario's collection, so check that out. Beautiful collection. Thank you to Mario for letting me doing that. And yeah, any number of other things that'll be coming down the pipeline. There'll be some more reviews coming up, and I'll be reviewing actually the Iron Throne from Beast Kingdom. So I'm going to be reviewing that. I bought that because it was on sale, Marco, from Amazon. It was normally $350. It was $250. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And Amazon, if there's any issue, it's easy to return and replace and all that. So yeah,
I'm excited for that one. I love the Iron Throne.
I've been looking at that and eyeing it for a while. And of course, whenever Chrome Mando gets here, I'm going to review that as well. Just a matter of when I get it. So
I thought you were going to say you're going to put Chrome Mando on the Iron Throne. I was like, wow,
that makes sense.
I mean, that actually is not. I don't want to scratch the chrome paint though. I'm a little bit worried about
not.
that. I'll put like a seat. I'll put a cushion under him or something.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Iron Throne has a cushion.
That's what you can use the other Grogu for,
Exactly. He can sit on the little armrest. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining. We'll catch you in the next one. Catch us on Sunday. We'll see you then. Peace out. Bye. Bye.